What's good, YouTube? This is Cam chilling back again with another video. And I got something a little different for you guys here today. So if you guys have been following along throughout my channel, since my very first video, since I started YouTube, which was back in August, I want to say, right? All these videos I made has been pretty much about football, right? Basically talk about each NFL team, but mostly the Packers, since I've been uploading some recap videos talking about the Packers, right? But I have yet to make a video for a different sport that I probably said since my very first video. So that is going to be my plan for this video. So instead of talking about football, I'm going to be talking about some basketball, particularly for my favorite team. And I'm going to give you my thoughts about my favorite team and how they have been looking so far. So that team that I'm talking about, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. Now they've been getting some momentum there so far. All right, they got some back-to-back wins. So I'm going to give you my thoughts for my favorite team, the Milwaukee Bucks, that I've been a fan of since I was a little kid back then. I don't know what age I was, but dang it, I was a little kid back then when I was a fan of the Milwaukee Bucks. You know what I'm saying? Before the Giannis's days. Even though I didn't watch that much basketball back in the day. So I'm also going to give you a little recap of what happened from last season and maybe seasons prior, but particularly for just this season alone. So yeah, I'm just going to give you some thoughts about this whole team and what they have done. So yeah, let's just get into this. So as we are sitting here today, it is right now Saturday, November 16th. It's literally past midnight here, so what am I doing up this late here? You should be going to sleep. Well, sometimes it's pretty hard to go down to sleep when you're not feeling this tired, because yeah, it's just one of those days here, I guess, right? But why not make a video after midnight, right? But anyway, the Milwaukee Bucks right now are sitting 4-8. Which is very crazy to see, right? Normally, you would see Milwaukee Bucks go all the way up to the top of the standings. Normally, they would be sitting around, probably around, let's say, top 5-ish. Normally, you would see the Bucks sitting anywhere close to the Boston Celtics, who become this godlike team. Who's surprised about that? Who are 10-3 right now. Obviously, you got the New York Knicks. Not the greatest start, but they are 6-6. It looks like they're starting to get their groove back. The Pacers are sticking around, even though they are 5-7. Now I will say I haven't watched any of the Pacers games, so I don't really know what they look like. I don't know how Tyrese Halliburton has done, how Pascal Siakam is doing, or any of the players have done. Even though they're 5-7, they're still not a team to be sleeping on. And the Cavaliers, now I know they're gonna be back in this thing, back into the playoffs, obviously. But who would have thought they would go 14-0? Wow, are they trying to be the next Golden State Warriors? Because boy, 14-0 is insane. Absolutely insane. Are they going to be the team to challenge the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals? We shall see about that. It's still a long season there, so we'll still see about that. But anyways, yeah, we see normally the Bucks every year, as long as they have a strong contending team in the Milwaukee Bucks, we always see them somewhere around the top 5, right? That has not been the case so far, as they had their ups, but definitely their downs as well. Let's just get into this, man. Now, part of that is because they had a tough schedule to start out. Not in the first game, they were able to beat the Philadelphia 76ers, even though they were without their best player in Joel Embiid. But there are some losses that clearly they should have won, like the Chicago Bulls, who are clearly not a better team than the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know what in the world happened in that game. That was just bad. The Brooklyn Nets, the Bucks are definitely better than the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know what happened there. And the Celtics, now they're definitely a tough team. Don't get me wrong. They're still that elite basketball team. Don't be surprised if they're able to make it back into the finals again this season. But still, the Bucks could have had the Celtics in the second game, the second time that they played them. Now, the Celtics were the better team the first time that they played against Milwaukee Bucks, but in the second game, they had him. They had the Celtics. I thought they should have won. It's just kind of fell apart there in that game. So that was pretty unfortunate there. But yeah, it's definitely not a good start for the Milwaukee Bucks to start this season. And it all started way back when we hired Doc Rivers. Now, it's a good thing that Doc Rivers gets to get back coaching in basketball. It's very, very good to see. But I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first saw that Doc Rivers was going to be the new head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks last season, that's when I already knew that the window for making it back to the finals has been closed. I'm just being real. Now, he can still coach his team to make it back to the playoffs, but in terms of going to the finals, we can just forget about it. And I know it's very hard for y'all to hear this coming from a Milwaukee Bucks fan. I am always going to support this team no matter what. So I'm always going to be supporting for my team, but we just got to look at the facts, man. Because when's the last time Doc Rivers had to make it back to the finals? 2008? 2008 was probably the last time he got a ring. And since then, he's been falling short since he had that ring back way back in those days. He had a talented team where he used to coach for the Philadelphia 76ers back in 2021 with Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and those guys. They didn't make it to the finals back then. When he coached for the LA Clippers, dating back from 2013, his first year as a head coach for the Clippers, and all the way down to 2020, he didn't make it to the finals back then. He certainly didn't make it back to the finals when he coached for the Philadelphia 76ers. And I don't know how that's going to change now with the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, I just don't know how that's going to change, to be honest with you. Now, it's not all on him. Okay, the players got to do a better job in terms not only regular season but also in the playoffs. I had some pretty high expectations for the Bucks, I would say. I think they would still make it back into the playoffs, but if you expect this team to make it up to like either the 1 or the number 2 seed, I'm afraid to say that we would be wrong about that. I think those days are like over. For you to fire head coach Budenholzer like a couple of seasons ago, I mean, yeah, maybe he could have coached the team better when it comes to playoff time, but he's still been great in the regular season. And clearly the defenses have been looking absolutely phenomenal back in those Budenholzer days. I mean, that is just the truth. And he's kind of doing the same thing here for the Phoenix Suns right now throughout the season. In fact, let's see what their record is right now for the Phoenix Suns. They're sitting at 9-4 right now. So, safe to say that the Suns are doing pretty fine right now here in the regular season. Now, we'll see about what they can do in the playoffs. Because, yes, as well as the Bucks did in the regular season with Budenholzer, their defense kind of falling apart a bit when it comes to playoffs, but that's not what this is about. Right now, we're in Doc Rivers' era in Milwaukee Bucks for this season. And so far, it has not been looking great. Now, it looks like they might be able to turn things around. Like, they had some back-to-back wins. Like, previously, they were able to beat the Detroit Pistons. But let's be honest. They really could have lost that game there, man. They really could have lost it. You see the end of regulation time? Now, to me, I thought that was an egregious call on the penalty when Giannis is trying to block that shot. I don't remember who that player was with the Detroit Pistons, but Giannis was trying to block that shot, and apparently it was a foul on Giannis, which was crazy to me. Very, very crazy. And the guy who was making the free throws, I think it was Isaiah Stewart, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look and see. But anyways, he had a chance to win that game. And boy, oh boy, God says no, no, nay, nay. As much as I love that the Bucks got away with the win, they pretty much got bailed out in that game. They got bailed out in this one. But hey, a win is a win. They were also able to beat Utah Jazz, even though they're not very, very good. So both those teams are not very good. Now, the Pistons may be decent. They did have 5 wins. Let me look it up right now. Oh no, excuse me. They have 6 wins there right now. So not a great record, but also not the worst. So they're in 6-8. Man, we're in 2024 and we're talking about the Pistons having a better record than the Bucks. God. God, that's so embarrassing. My God. And I hope they can continue to turn the season around, because after the amount of losses that the Bucks have been taking, there has been rumors already talking about that Giannis might end up being traded somewhere. Now, I will say this, and this is coming from a Bucks fan, and I definitely love Giannis Antetokounmpo, being represented as he has been, being as a player for Milwaukee Bucks. He is always going to be my favorite Milwaukee Bucks player forever and ever and ever. But I would not be surprised if he's asked for a trade. And that depends how the Bucks season is going to go. If they continue to fall apart, if they continue to lose a number of games that they should have won, depending on how many losses they have gone, like let's say if they go on to like, maybe like some reason they go to, like for some reason, let's say if they go on to like, let's say 5 or 6 game losing streak, right? If that were the case to happen, don't be surprised if Giannis asks for a trade. And yes, I know it's very hard for you guys to even hear me say this, especially for what he has done for this team for a number of years now. There is no one else on this roster that I would want more than Giannis. That's how much I really love him as a player. But if he's the guy who has to do everything here for the team, that is a problem. And that showed it in the recent game against the Pistons. Are you telling me that Giannis was the only player who was scoring all these points in the first quarter? Like, are you kidding me? You know that Giannis cannot do every single thing for you. Like, where's anybody going to step up eventually? Now, they were able to do that later into the game, but still, Giannis can't be doing every single thing if nobody else on the team is not able to do anything on there, especially on the bench. Now, Andre Jackson Jr., that's the one player I was very encouraged by, and he can make plays all on defense, and sometimes in the game he can make some shots there whenever he needs to. So that's one player I'm encouraged by, but outside of that, Marjon Beauchamp, it looked like he has some potential there earlier in his career, but so far it has not been working out there for him. Gary Trent Jr., who we made a trade, he was a former Toronto Raptor, a shooting guard for the Toronto Raptors. He can make some shots here and there. Now, he was able to score some points from coming off of a bench, scoring 11 points, but so far he has not been great. Now it's still early in the season, so there's still room for him to improve upon that. But so far, it has not been great for him. Ryan Rollins, he's been improving, but need to see a little bit more from him. Pat Connaughton, I think it's time to move on from Pat Connaughton. I mean, I appreciate everything that he has done, but right now I don't think he has been very good as of late. He's just getting old, 31 years old. I think we got to move on with Pat Connaughton and get a better bench player, in my opinion. Brook Lopez, as much as I love him, he's just too much of a liability at this point. Yes, he can make some good plays. He can defend some shots there in the perimeter. He can still be able to defend and block some guys' shots, but guys, he's 36 years old. Now, I think he's on his last year of his contract. So if the Bucks want to keep him throughout the season, they can. But I don't expect Brook Lopez to come back on this team after his contract expires. So I think they got to move on from him after that. Chris Middleton, another guy who I definitely love here on this team. This guy has been banged up since the Bucks won the championship back in 2021. I mean, it has been very, very, very bad breaks for Mr. Chris Middleton, unfortunately. Even when he does come back, I don't know. Now, we did see how he looked in the playoffs, and I was very encouraged by that. Able to fight back in that one game against the Indiana Pacers, keeping the game alive, send that team to overtime against the Indiana Pacers, but man, This guy has missed too many games, had a number of surgeries, I think on his ankle and his leg, probably. I think he's done, in my opinion. Now, and Damian Lillard. Now, when I heard that the Bucks made that trade for Damian Lillard, I was extremely excited for that trade. And I still stand with that. I still believe that it was a very, very great trade for getting Damian Lillard, even though we may lose a number of players on the bench back then. But so far, it has been a mixed bag in my opinion. And this is something that I thought I would never say when we got Damian Lillard over the Milwaukee Bucks, but this defense, man, it has been slipping. It's been slipping since they got rid of Jrue Holiday. Now, I believe it was wrong for Milwaukee Bucks for treating Jrue Holiday the way that they did. I mean, not getting in communication with him at the moment when they got Damian Lillard, and you just left Jrue Holiday out of the blue and not giving him an indicator that he was going to be traded. So I thought that was a very odd move there. And you see what he did with the Boston Celtics when they played against us. He made us pay, and rightfully so. Now, Damian Lillard, he's a guy who can give you 40 to 50 points on any given game. He's that type of guy. He's definitely a clutch type of player, but this guy cannot defend anybody. I mean, I remember the very last game against the Boston Celtics, trying to defend Jason Tim, wasn't able to do that. He's also trying to defend Derek White a few times. He struggled at that. This is not his game. He's never been a very good defender. To me, they got to get younger, in my opinion. The Bucks I'm talking about, got to find some young defenders right there, because if the Bucks continue to play the way like they did, especially those L's that they've been taking, like the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks and probably Boston Celtics, this team is not going anywhere. I still think they could make the playoff push, but it's most likely going to be in the lower seeds, like probably like the 5th seed at best. So, and to be honest, I haven't talked much about him yet. This guy has been playing his butt off there lately. Now I will say this. I don't love the fact that Giannis has been threatening the organization to make this team continue to be a title contender. That part I do not love, because that's putting all the pressure on him for the organization to make these decisions, putting Doc Rivers in as head coach, firing Budenholzer a couple of seasons ago. The Damian Lillard trade I do like, but he wanted the organization to make those moves. He got them. Now you got to make the best out of it. And he definitely has done that. I mean, last time he put up 59 points, almost 60 against the Detroit Pistons. But again, it's the Detroit Pistons, but still, darn near 60 points is just amazing. This guy is absolutely great. Now, I know Giannis is always going to do his thing. That's what I'm not worried about. I'm just worried about everybody else surrounding him, especially on the bench. I mean, I think I just read the stats there earlier. Apparently, they're ranked 25th in points scored on the bench. That is bad. That is very, very bad. I'm expecting more coming out of this bench, man. Now, we'll see about these guys. Andrew Jackson Jr., again, that's the one player I was encouraged by. Oh, and also AJ Green, by the way, too. This is a guy who can make some shots here and there. So those two of the guys I'm very encouraged by. I do need to see more from them. Hopefully Doc Rivers give those guys some more minutes, because who knows? Perhaps they could become something there for you guys. Perhaps they could. Doc has to give them the opportunities as they deserve. But yeah, outside of those two guys, don't love the bench here at all. They got to find some better replacements here, in my opinion. If they can do that, then perhaps they can go on a run. But I don't think that's pretty much of a guarantee with Doc Rivers back out there as a head coach, in my opinion. It was a mixed bag, but at the same time, I didn't really love it that much because of the history that I talked about earlier. So it would be good for them to make the playoffs, but I do not expect this team to make it into the finals. So let's be honest, Milwaukee Bucks fans. We had an amazing run. We had a great run, right? We got that ring back in 2021. We got that championship ring, and boy, that's definitely the memory that I'm definitely going to be holding for the rest of my life. And it was a great time, man. Unfortunately, not with Damian Lillard. Nah, he definitely deserves to get a ring here. But I'm just not sure if he's going to be with this team. But yeah, I'm very, very glad the Bucks were able to get a ring a number of seasons ago. Y'all definitely deserve that ring. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and those guys able to get that ring. But we have to face it. That window has officially shipped sailed. That window has been closed. I think it's pretty much over. Now they can prove me wrong. It's still a very long season. Perhaps they can play better defensively as the season moves along. But for right now, it's not been looking great. Now they have some momentum right now. As I said earlier, they were able to get some back-to-back wins against Utah Jazz and against the Detroit Pistons. So they'll be playing against the Charlotte Hornets later here today. So we'll see if the Milwaukee Bucks can keep that momentum going when they play against the Charlotte Hornets by the time the sun comes up. But until then, I'm not really that confident here in the Milwaukee Bucks at this point, which is pretty tough for me to say in my opinion. But there you go. Those are my thoughts on my Milwaukee Bucks here for this season. What are your thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks? You can put your comments down below. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and also please subscribe. And until next time, this is Cam Chillin', and I am signing off. Peace.